Tim, Lauren's got us under control.
Okay, let's go to page 537, and we'll talk about the parks, and we'll start with Lake Afton Park. Lake Afton Park's mission is to provide a recreational experience that's attractive, safe, and efficient by providing facilities and events for the public to enjoy. Lake Afton Park is a 258-acre lake on a 720-acre site, and we are making those services available to everybody in the community and to visitors and guests. And the strategic result for Lake Afton Park is to deliver those services at or below 50 cents per visitor, and the result in 2017 was actually 45 cents per visitor. And we have a budget request for property tax funds and for Lake Afton Park. Lake Afton Park serves about 55,000 visitors per month during the busy season, and we've got multiple playgrounds and modern bathrooms, climate-controlled rooms that people can rent, and we've got a lot of different slips for people to park their campers and that sort of thing as well. We've got fishing, boating, swimming, and camping available. We've got a bait store and snacks available at the store. And we also partner with the state, and we have fish that are provided by the Kansas Department of Wildlife, Parks, and Tourism to stock both Lake Afton and Sedgwick County Park. So that budget request is $724,512 for 2019. And there's the breakdown, and that increase in the personnel line item that you see is tied to benefits. There are some benefit changes that show up there. In Lake Afton Park, and I hope you can see it, there's an area that's outlined in green that's to the east of the park, and that's some land that was purchased, I don't know, 12 or 15 years ago maybe, as kind of a buffer zone between the park and then that residential that you see even further to the east. And what we're considering, here's some data about traffic counts, and traffic counts continue to be very high at Lake Afton Park, between 350 and 450,000 folks every year. And here's some data about the store as well. Since we've reopened the store, we've got a nice margin on the stuff that helps support the rest of the activities at the park. But we have a revenue package, and the recommendation is to sell that 50 acres of land, and I'll go back to that map. And it's that area that's outlined in green. The red line is kind of the improved park area, and that green area is additional acreage that was purchased about 12 or 15 years ago to create a buffer zone so that the housing that's to the east wouldn't really encroach on the park, and it has not. And so it's undeveloped land, and it's pretty far away from the water, and so it doesn't make much sense for us to necessarily develop it. So in terms of a revenue perspective, if we were to sell off that land, we think that it could generate something close to $175,000 that would go back to the general fund. And an excellent way to spend that money would be to fund some CIP requests that we've got in the budget as well, so we could reinvest in the park. But of course, you could do with those resources.
Is that an appraised value?
No, that's Mark and I's wild guess.
Okay.
But, we've got that auction service now. That I think probably the thing that makes sense would be to try and auction that off if
Is that what we paid for, or do you know?
That I don't know. Mark, do you have any? So pretty close to what we paid for it. Maybe this may be a little bit up from what we paid for it.
Have we talked about this before, or have I got a senior moment?
No, I don't know that we've. I don't know that we've talked about this before. This as Mark and I kind of worked on CIP projects this year. When you see the CIP project list, you'll see that we had a lot of different ideas. And one of the ways that we thought could potentially help pay for some of the stuff that we'd like to enhance at both Lake Afton and at Sedgwick County Park would be some additional revenue, and one of the ways we could do it would be sell off that property there.
We did talk about that land when we were talking about JRBR demolition.
We did,
but we didn't talk about selling it.
No. Well, I think we've got some land that I'd love to sell, but it's a long way from this piece. It's at the other end of the county.
Yeah.
That's the northeast part.
There's no encumbrances on this particular plot of ground.
I understand that. We need to get rid of the encumbrances on the other. That's really my priority, is to get rid of the encumbrances on the northeast park. And then I think we need to sell it.
So this piece of ground is not encumbered.
It is not to our knowledge.
It's only 50
Could we
acres.
could we encumber this if we were to trade the Northeast Park dollar for this land instead? In other words, move the encumbrance from Northeast to this?
Well, that's like
I
600
don't know.
Some
Yeah,
some
that's,
acres up
that's
there.
650.
But it doesn't matter. It's dollar for dollar. It's the value of that land
Right.
versus the value of
no,
this land.
No, I know. And we sold some land up there for $4,500 an acre. The
At northeast.
Yes, the part that wasn't encumbered,
Oh,
we sold it for, went to auction and went for $4,500 an acre.
We got that much?
Yeah, we got more than what, isn't that right?
About 1.2 million we looked at, I think I told
Yeah.
Rob. There was some property there was some property that was still under lease. Farmers were farming it, and that's the piece that they sold off from up at Northeast Sedgwick County Park.
We kept a little piece. We kept a little piece of
We
that
kept
for.
600 some acres for the park piece and sold off all the rest.
Wasn't there also a little place to do some burning or something? We
Yes,
okay,
yeah,
like a couple of acres or like an
Yeah.
acre,
20 acres.
20 acres. Wow. Okay.
that's correct.
Well, the bottom line is there's no way to equalize those values, so that we can't do that, but, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd rather, if we're going to spend time, we spend some time figuring out what we can do to that northeast park. And Lake Afton, and I'm not trying to be parochial because it's in my district, trust me, okay?
Sure.
Sure. But it's already an established park that people are using all the time. The northeast park is something that we just have that's setting up there that's got a lot of taxpayers' money tied up in it, and it's not doing us any good as far as return on investment. So between the two, I would certainly rather see us sell the northeast park if we could get the encumbrances off of it. Or is there a possibility of selling it with encumbrances on it? I don't know what our options are, but right now, that's the one that doesn't make sense to me. Commissioner Howell.
Well, yeah, on that line, I have a couple of questions. Do we actually? I don't see that the Northeast Park's even on the PowerPoint. So
it'll be. I'm going to address it in one line in the Sedgwick County when I talked about Sedgwick County Parks.
well, what I'd like to know is, are we keeping track of visitors out there at Northeast Park in any way? Do we know how many people use that?
We do not. We don't have a good way.
Is there a way to
track
do
folks like
that?
I don't.
Traffic counter maybe, or I don't know. Put a counter out there for a few weeks and see what happens.
We could do that. I think most of the traffic on that road is not probably going to be pulling into the park. I mean, we could put it at the entrance of the park.
On the entrance to the.
But we could do that.
I think we ought to find that out. It'd be useful. And then the other thing is, I don't know what's on the CIP list, but I just want to bring up another thing that I brought up once before, and that is at Lake Afton, we have, I guess, water service on one side of the lake, but not on the other side. Does that CIP include that enhancement?
Yes, it
The
does.
CIP discussion?
It does.
Okay, that's on that list?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then you talked about, I don't know, maybe you haven't said it yet, about the package number 2. You're going to get to that still. Okay,
That's
never mind.
next.
Go ahead. I'm done. Thank you, Chairman.
About every 3 years, Mark does an assessment of and a study of the fees that people charge at parks that are in the area, and it's time for us to raise the fees. And so the revenue package that we're proposing is to do a slight increase in fees that would generate about another $23,000 each year, but it's an increase that would keep us in line with the market, the other parks that are in the area.
And those fees are for use of the campgrounds and so forth?
Correct.
If you just drive through there, you don't have to pay any fees, do you?
But when you don't stop,
As long as you don't stop.
that's right.
Once you park, quiet.
That's a different story.
And the increase are very slight,
And what's the cost for us just to stop?
$5.
$5.
$5, okay.
Or $30 a year.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see
Any other questions about that one?
Just what do you anticipate the increment will be?
I think it was $2 on $1 on the day pass, or was it $2? $1 on day pass and $2 on camping sites. So from, I think, 10 to 12.
And are the camping sites with services, are they more? There's some with services. What are they?
$1 a day extra for water.
Okay.
We don't have any sewer hookups. We just have a dump station.
Okay. And what? Okay. All right. Thank you.
You have discounts for seniors?
Yes.
Good job. And I
Give a-
appreciate that.
Is there a pickleball court out there anywhere?
Not yet.
Commissioners, the fee schedule is on page 546 of your budget.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
On page 546,
Okay. Thank you.
On page 549, we'll talk about Sedgwick County Park. It's a 400-acre park with 4 small lakes, and we've also included, here's the one line about Northeast Sedgwick County Park, 656 acres of parkland there. And again, the strategic measure is to deliver those park services at or below 25 cents per person. In 2017, our measure was 26 cents per person, per visitor. Sedgwick County Park serves about $1 million, or 1 million visitors each year, multiple playgrounds, bathrooms, rooms available for rent, lots of hike and bike trails, and there's fishing available at that park. And Sedgwick County Park is a very busy park for community activities, both large and small. There's from May until the fall, there's runs most weekends, walks most weekends, and so it's a high volume park in that regard. Also in this property tax budget is included the special liquor tax funds that go to parks, and that money is used in a number of different ways. We've used it for plum construction, the plum shelter construction, and the dam inspections out at the Lake Afton Park. In 2018, we're going to use those funds to install a vault-type toilet near some new playground equipment that we installed a couple of years ago. Traffic counts for Sedgwick County Park, as you can see, they've ranged between 900,000 and 1 million the last few years. We've been over 1 million. The budget request is for $359,119 for the Sedgwick County Park budget, and there it is by superior commitment item. Any other questions about the park?
Yeah, let's hold on the park for a minute. Several months ago, we talked about the soccer folks wanted to build a building out at Sedgwick County Park. Whatever happened to that proposal?
We met with them, and in fact, Tanya Cole and Mark and I met with them and talked about their plans and said what they had planned made sense to us. And I think when David did work on that parking lot, he configured it in such a way that there would be the amenities that they need where they want to do it. So now they're in their fundraising phase. They know that they need to raise the funds to make that happen, and so they're in the fundraising
I was
process.
under the impression they had the funds and they were just trying to get permission.
No, they need to get the. They wanted. I think they wanted to make sure that we were okay with it before they did any serious fundraising, and so we said that what they were proposing made sense to us, and so they were going to start their fundraising process. At some point in time, once they're close with their fundraising goals, then we'll have a contract amendment that we'll bring to you to talk about that. But they're prepared to fund the construction and then the maintenance and that sort of thing. But they need to do fundraising.
Okay. Any other questions about Sedgwick County Park? Don't see any.
The zoo is on page 558. Their mission is to inspire discovery, appreciation, and respect for animals and nature. And they serve residents of Sedgwick County, the surrounding communities, region, and travelers and guests. And they deliver learning opportunities. They partner with schools in a number of different ways to make sure that the kids get to experience that as well, while providing the highest level of animal care at the zoo. It is the #1 outdoor tourist attraction in the state of Kansas, and the economic impact is estimated at $43 million per year based on visitors and guests. And this is one of the unique public-private partnerships, a very strong partnership that we have right now with the Zoological Society. Their budget request includes support for the zoo activities that hosted 581,000 guests in 2017 and 70,000 different students through field trips, educational programming, and outreach. And their strategic result is that their penetration is equal to or exceeds 85% of the MSA, and in 2017 their attendance penetration was 90.2%. So we're reaching a high percentage of the community. Budget request is $6,525,406, and that is split up primarily personnel, 109 FTE, and then for the past couple of years now we've been funding half of the CIP program that they develop, and that's going to be $400,900 this coming year.
When's the new elephant coming out?
It's here. He's in his barn. And when's he coming out? When he's ready.
When he's ready.
You want to come up and talk briefly about it?
He arrived last Thursday, and he's adapting very well. He's moving in and out of the barn into the backyards, the holding yards. He's still off public display at this time. He is responding very well to the keepers. He's adapted, I would say, better than I expected after 6 days. Right now, we're still doing medical tests on him to make sure that he's not going to pass something on to the females and tighten the other male that we have. And so far, those test results are good, but we have to satisfy the veterinary concerns, and the veterinarians have to sort of sign off on any attempt for him to be close to the females. They can see him, he can see them, and but there's always a space between them. We are sort of assessing every day where he is at from a status perspective. You know, what's the next step? What are we going to do from here going on? When the medical tests are all completed and the veterinarians are satisfied, we'll sit down and, based on the behaviors that we see, work out a plan to start putting him, introducing to the females. So as far as when he'll go, or when the public will be able to see him, that's still a little bit of a question. We've been discussing it the last couple of days, and been talking with our public relations specialists. At this point, we think it's not a good idea to have the public come into the barn to see him, because he has access outside, so he could go outside and then it would be sort of disappointing. We would rather do it so that when we put him out into what we call the north habitat, which is the smaller of the two. I think if we open the doors right now, he'd go out there, but we want to make sure that, which would also put him in contact with the females. We're not quite ready for that yet. We just think there would be an onslaught into the building, and he might not appreciate that, and he may go outside, and then everybody be disappointed. But and I've always told people, you know, what time, what day. If you try to do that, the animals always make a liar out of you. But I don't expect it to be too far down the road.
Okay, good. Well, I hope that however we do it, why it can help increase attendance and so forth. So
there seems to be quite a groundswell of anticipation about it. We're getting a lot of comments at the zoo and on Facebook and social media about the excitement of his arrival. He's a big fella. He won't. I guarantee you're not going to go, now which one's a Johnny, because he's much bigger than all the females are.
Good. Any questions about the zoo?
I'm just curious about the elephant. Where did he come from?
He came from the Birmingham Zoo. He's actually owned by the Indianapolis Zoo. When he traveled overnight, started last Wednesday, and there were 10 people in 3 or 4 vehicles that traveled with him. He, including a representative from the Indianapolis Zoo, 2 zookeepers from the Birmingham Zoo who stayed. Those folks stayed 3 or 4 days to help him acclimate so that he recognized and it was with people he was familiar with. Then both two of our veterinarians, our mammal curator, our elephant manager, and a maintenance guy went along with the trip as well. So,
does he just go around the country and?
Well, he was born in Indianapolis in a herd, and when he got to be in sort of his young adolescent years, started making trouble. the plan was we were going to send him to Birmingham, and Birmingham is a zoo that keeps only bull elephants right now. So they had adult bulls there that were sort of teaching him how to be a bull, because without sort of a father figure or an older brother, something like that, young bulls can sometimes get ornery. And this is another, besides the benefit of potentially having elephants born at the zoo here, another benefit is that he's going to be able to mentor Titan on what it means to be a bull elephant. So that's another advantage.
So he'll be here for a while, but he'll be going somewhere else.
Yeah, we're not, I've been asked that question several times. He could be here 3 years, he could be here 7 years.
Oh, really?
Just
Okay.
depends on how things go. He has to, as long as he knows what he's doing, he has to figure that out. We've got our fingers crossed that he can figure it out. The females, we believe, do know what they're doing.
So we went from one, and here shortly we might have 12 potentially.
Well, potentially.
I just did the
yes.
math. 8.
Yes. Well, there's
brought in
two-
6. That's 7 plus 1 is 8 plus 5 more.
Well, we have
Potentially.
8 elephants
I
right
got
now,
it.
2 males and 6 females, and 2 females are cycling. So, if all goes right, we could have a first elephant calf in 2 to 3 years. It takes 2 years to make an elephant
I assume
calf.
that Stephanie's probably not.
No,
likely.
Stephanie, we won't allow Stephanie to get
I'm thinking
pregnant.
5 females and
Right,
okay,
so-
that's how I got to 12. So
Yeah.
Is a zoo handle 12 elephants at some point? If that was to
Can
happen,
our zoo handle 12
Yeah.
elephants? Well, it kind of depends on the ages and the sizes of the elephants. So if we have, in 3 or 4 years, we have 2 baby elephants, it's not going to change anything as far as how we operate for several years. Then if the other females start cycling, we have babies after that, depending on their sexes. An elephant doesn't, it may take 8, 9, 10 years before an elephant gets large enough where you have to think about where that elephant might go or what might happen. At some point, we will have, if all goes well and we do have successful births, like other zoos are doing, we will eventually have we'll split the herd, and some of the herd may go to another facility. That's quite a few years down the road.
I'm sure it is. Okay. Well, it's just an interesting discussion. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, thank you. And long-term goal, though, is to raise baby elephants.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Very good. Thank you.
Got that settled.
On page 562, we'll talk about some community programs. The mission there is to enhance the quality of life in Sedgwick County by supporting cultural, entertainment, recreational, and related educational opportunities of citizens and visitors. And we provide funding for 5 different organizations: the Sedgwick County Fair, the Kansas African American Museum, the Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum, the Arts Council, and the River Festival. And they provide attractions to citizens and guests throughout the community. And each of these is governed by they're all nonprofit organizations that are governed by their own independent volunteer board, and we work with them to provide cultural enrichment in the community. Sedgwick County Fair is scheduled for July of this year. They usually host about 25 to 30,000 different attendees over that 4-day period of time. Kansas African American Museum is the premier location in Kansas to learn about the rich African American history here, and it is located in the courthouse complex in the historic Calvary Baptist Church. They hosted 4,982 guests in 2017. The Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum is a popular site for field trips, and it provides information about local history in both Wichita and Sedgwick County in the original Wichita City Hall. And they are a popular school field trip location. They hosted 16,000 visitors, and they anticipate 18,000 next year. River Festival begins June 1, and it hosts over 370,000 people each year. Our budget request for 2019 is $370,472, a reduction of 7%. That's 25. That's the second half of the turtle maize payment that will happen in 2018, and then that's going to come out of the budget for 2019. and then we'll be reimbursed by the Arts Council for the full $50,000 for the turtle maze.
We don't have this broken out by each of those different areas, do we?
I don't believe so, but I can give it to you. Sedgwick, and all of these are going to be same as the last year. The Sedgwick County Fair is $29,427. African American Museum is $172,827. The Wichita Sedgwick County Historical Museum is $90,218. River Festival is $10,000 this year. It was $15,000 last, and it's down to $10,000. Arts Council is $15,000. And there you go.
And Commissioners, I have it, it's also on that card I sent you.
okay.
The budget facts card
Yeah.
on the back.
I knew I saw it somewhere.
Okay.
Take it a little bit to get used to it.
Good. Thank you.
Expiration Place is on 565, page 565. Their mission is to inspire a deeper interest in science through creative and fun experiences for people of all ages. Their strategic result is based on their Intercept experience ratings of very good and excellent, and they set that baseline in 2017, and then we'll measure that going forward as against that baseline in 2017. They are Kansas' premier science center. They offer hands-on exhibits and a full schedule of traveling exhibits and dome theater films. They continue to renovate or create one permanent gallery each year, and highlighted by the aviation exhibit Design, Build, Fly, which was just finished this past year. It's a tremendous success. It's a tremendous exhibit, and now they're planning on their new health exhibit. That'll be the next permanent exhibit that they renovate or create. And they serve guests, citizens of Sedgwick County and guests from across the state as well. 256,000 guests in 2017, anticipate 283,000 guests in 2018, in large part due to the success of Design, Build, Fly. They continue to focus on STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and that is helping them serve a community need in terms of engaging children at a very young age in it's kind of, Expiration Place now is part of the economic development culture in the community, because they're helping fill that pipeline of children that are interested in aviation jobs. So down the line, when Spirit decides they're going to hire another 1,000 workers, those people are already being educated in that regard, knowing that that's the type of work that they want to do because of experiences that they've had at Expiration Place. And so they're positioned uniquely to address a very young age population and get them interested in science and technology, and I think it's a great fit for our community. And they also partner with school groups and homeschool kids to meet their educational goals and objectives, and they serve about 70,000 kids a year through their education outreach programs. Again, a flat request of $2,220,140. And there's no questions about Expiration Place.
I have one question.
This is a slide that was presented, Rick Durham presented it when he went over the CAFR last month. And ordinarily, when I do a budget presentation, as I've done these over the years, I've had very few decision package requests, and I had what I felt like was a lot. I think there's 9 or 10 of them. And one of the reasons why is because we've kind of been flat funded or negative funded, not only locally, but from the state perspective for a number of years. And so there's a pent-up demand, and so that kind of explains why we've had some of the decision package requests that we've had this year, because there is a continuing growth in the need for services, and we'd like to be able to address those services. So the overall summary department request is $81,123,484, And our decision package total is $1,156,813. Again, more than half of that is on the grant side. The $370,000 is not local mill levy money for ComCare, and the $250,000 for the capacity development is out of the CDDO grant fund. And then again, there's those two revenue packages that total $198,400. And we made it to slide 113.
Commissioner Howell.
I just had a question on Exploration Place. I don't see anywhere on here, we're talking, that $2 million figure, that was the operations, but there's a interest, there's a P&I, there's a P&I component that is not presented here, is that correct?
That is correct. That's in the finance. Lindsay covers that in the finance.
I went back and looked at the bond and interest page of the book. It doesn't break it down, so I was just wondering, can you remind us I guess how much principal is left, and when is that going to pay off again?
Sure. And Commissioner, this actually is also on your card.
Okay.
On the back. And so the debt service through 2022 on average per year is $1,051,600.
Okay. That pays off in 2022. Very good. That's my only question. I just want to say hi, Jan, and good job. One other question on that. When we get into discussion, I have one other question at that point.
Good. I don't see any other questions on this. We need to open it up for discussion generally then?
Yes.
Very good. Do we have any general discussion questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Howell.
And maybe I missed it or I'm not remembering or something, but do we have a presentation on education funding anywhere? Have I missed that somehow? WSU, we provide money to WSU and WSU Tech. I'm just curious if that was something I may have either missed it or forgot it or something.
Commissioner, that was in my community development
Okay.
presentation last week.
It was. Okay. Thank you. I'll go back and take a look at that then. Thank you.
Okay. Any other general discussion questions? Okay, what is next? We're done with the budget presentations, but what's our next step?
Next, we will have on May 29th, we'll have that budget workshop on the sheriff pay and those positions. And May 30th, the CIP workshop will be the next two.
Good. Commissioner Ranzau has a question.
So, in the past years, we've had this book where we listed the priorities and how everything's funded, the 80%, 10-10, and we could see all the different things. Are we not getting that anymore?
Yes, we had planned on doing that this year.
It's very helpful. I mean, it's very helpful, but I don't.
We can just come. Do you want us to just come talk to you about it?
Well, I mean, are we going to do anything to try and look at, efficiencies or duplication or outsourcing or privatizing? I hadn't seen anything here. I mean, I think that's. I mean, I've always found it helpful for as a commissioner to be able. I mean, we see all this stuff here, but he tends to get in a lot more detail about what the program does, where the funding comes from, how many people, also, what the mandate is. I don't know. And that was always helpful. Personally, I'd like to see it on a yearly basis, but.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
If the commissioners on the budget facts card, I've tried to put everything on there that, on any given week I ask about or forget. But if there's something that you want to see on there, just let me know, and we'll make sure we get it on there. There are generally every given week some basic budget facts that either you ask for or I ask for, and that's what I've tried to include on this. There may be something that I haven't caught that you want to see on there that you refer to regularly. One of them, a lot of, is bond and interest and what we're paying on buildings and community development funds and what we're paying and who we're paying. So if there's something else you want to see on there, I know there's one I'm going to put the extension office data on here. I noticed that just a few minutes ago. But if there's something else that you would like to see on there, just let me know.
Okay. Anything else from staff? I guess we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Right on time.